So 4 days ago, I installed bees for 2 new clients. I just came from one of them, and just arriving in this apiary and looking at the outside of these colonies of this second client, I can already tell a world of difference. One of the biggest things we do in beekeeping, and sometimes without even realizing it, I think is just comparing. I think comparing is a skill because it helps us sort of gauge and tune in to where we are, where the bees are, and how they're adjusting to the seasons. So we're going to break into this. This is the first follow-up inspection after installing these bees 4 days ago. We're going to see if the queens have been released, how they're coming along on comb. We won't be in the hive too long. This is a very minimal disturbance type of inspection because the colonies are still adapting and growing to their new location. So I'm going to get a smoker lit and we're going to get inside, so stick around. So one of the differences, the big differences I've already noticed between these 2 colonies and the 2 I installed the same day, 4 days ago, is that these have all their syrup left, except for this back hive. They've taken down this entire jar. They've still got pretty much the full jar on that. And this front colony has, this is almost halfway empty. This is about 2/3. So they've not taken a lot of their sugar syrup, which I put Hive Alive in. The other yard, they had completely emptied their jars. So it'll be interesting to see and compare the inside of these with the ones I just left. Now I know what some of you may be thinking, that's not how you set up hives on a hive stand. But with the terrain and the use that my clients have on their property here, how they access things, they asked if I could orient the bees in this direction. And to make leveling the hive stand easier rather than more difficult, I decided to just put them back to back. It wasn't a big deal. This colony comes out and they fly straight up. So it works, they're balanced, level, and it's the first time I've done it, but it's no biggie. Now, one of the first weird things I noticed in the other yard is that both queen cages had eaten through, the bees had eaten all the way through the candy in the queen cage, but one of the queens had not come out yet. For some reason, she was just staying in the cage. And as most of you know or have heard, usually it's about 3 days to get through that candy, and then the queen comes out and starts laying. Well, one queen she had eggs everywhere. The other queen just decided to stay in that box. So I had to open up the screen and manually let her out. So we'll see if these queens have come out of their cages and how much comb they've built, and see if we've got eggs. Okay, first hive here. Let them know I'm coming. I don't use inner covers. I think they're pointless. If you don't think they're pointless, that's fine. You can use them. A bit of a smaller cluster than the last 2 I looked at earlier. How do we get this stuff in here? I have no idea. All right, we're moving enough frames to give us working room. The bees are festooning on this frame. They are building comb, so I know they have intention to stay. As you can see there, we've got a little bit of a lift on our beeswax being built up. Next 2 frames are the ones where a queen is hanging. So here we go. I'm going to smoke a little bit so I can pop this staple. They don't really care about the smoke. Okay, queen cage up. They have eaten through the candy hole. There's no queen inside. There's just 4 worker bees. So I'll lay this out. They'll eventually figure out how to come out. I'm going to lay it with the screen down so it makes this dark. And the only light they see is this hole. That'll make them come out faster. All right. Cool. All right. You can see where they've drawn comb around where the cage was hanging. And it's full of eggs. And feed. So there's the glisten of the feed they've been packing. There's a big old drone. And there's a great shot of the eggs right there. And it's eggs on the other side. I don't know where the queen is. I don't care. I know she's in here. That's all that matters to me. I'm going to see if she's got eggs on this side. She doesn't, but they do have comb built out and a little bit of the sugar syrup stored in there. Now it's time to just put this back together carefully, get out, and check the next one. All right, here's hive number 2. I anticipate a little bit more from this one than what we saw in this one, and that's only because they've got one jar empty. In other words, they've been working a little bit harder. And I already noticed they've got a larger population. So they're ahead. This looks more like the first 2 I checked today. There's always going to be a difference in your colonies, in their population, their growth rate. I've got a book coming out about equalizing resources in the apiary. And I talk about in there how when we do that, it's important to take into account the population to resource ratio. All right, so we've got some comb being built out here. These wide edges you see. Next 2 frames are where our queen cage is hanging. I'm going to go ahead and loosen that now before I move any frames. Smoke the bees away from this staple. Whoop, staple fell down, oh well. I'm going to grab my queen cage. She's stuck to the next frame, so I don't have to worry about holding her. All right. They usually stick the queen cage in place with beeswax. There's our cage covered in bees. I just give it a shake. Look inside. Bunch of workers, no queen. The candy is all eaten out. Again, I'm going to set this upside down to darken this area so that the only light these girls see is coming through that hole, so they come out faster. And now we'll go ahead and look at this first frame, and I'll guarantee you there's eggs. Oh, and there's a ton of pollen too. Yeah, these girls are definitely further ahead. And our queen, see if there she is. Tiger stripe. You can see the eggs she's been laying, the pollen they've been packing. Nice. They've also got eggs on this side. They're much further ahead with drawing out comb than the other one. Here's their second frame. You can see all the white from the comb on that. There's no eggs on this one yet, but there will be soon. And on this side, also no eggs yet, but they're making a place for her to lay. They're doing it. Time to put them back together and back out. Now I've just got one more thing to do here. I'm going to be taking 1 jar each and emptying a Naroa pouch of feed into each one. My oxalic acid vaporizer currently needs rewired. I need to get on that ASAP. But until then, because these girls have just eggs, there's no larvae yet, there's no capped brood, this is an excellent time for Naroa. It's when it acts the best, when they're storing it around the brood nest and can feed it directly to where the mites are going to be. I always assume I have mites. I should have opened this jar before I opened this pouch. And now this is going to be stored around the brood, on the brood frames. It's going to be fed to the larvae where the varroa are going to be. It's going to get in their bodies, and that RNAi is going to target the varroa mites' ability to reproduce and make them not be able to reproduce. And this will also buy me some time so that when I get my vaporizer rewired, I can come along with that and do a nice big knockdown with the oxalic acid. So when it comes to your follow-up inspection, or at least for me, my follow-up inspections after installing package bees or even 5-frame nukes, I like it to be quick, minimal. You know what you're looking for, and usually to make sure that queen is laying, that they're drawing out comb, and then you get out. This is a crucial time for them to start establishing themselves. Now I'm going to leave them alone for at least probably a good 10 days. We have enough nectar and pollen coming in. I'm not worried about needing to get any more feed on them. Plus you see they've already got plenty already. Oh, and hey, as an extra, just so you know, these feed cans that come with the package bees, you know, they come like this, sitting down on this H-frame inside. Not all these cans ever get punctured. Whoever puts the packages together, they're supposed to puncture the can so that the bees can feed. And you'll see this one's got 2 puncture holes. I've actually ordered packages before where this puncture hole did not go all the way through, and I ended up receiving a package of very hungry bees because they didn't get it. They were slow, they were sluggish, so pay attention to that so you know whether they were getting feed in transit before you got them. Sometimes they might need feed really quick. Sometimes just spraying them with sugar water will go a long way in getting their energy back in their body. Pro tip from the Hive Doctor. So I'm going to clean up now. I like to take these boxes away, these Naroa pouches and these buckets that I brought the feed in, and leave my clients with a clean yard. Of course, I'll send them a report within the next couple of days, send them pictures of their bees, their queen, the eggs, so they get to see what's going on without having to be right up in the hive and take a chance of getting stung. So thank you guys for joining me today. I'll see you in the next video. Hive Doctor out.